All right, welcome back. We're going to continue talking about the Speech 1 assignment. We had previously talked about the purpose, to introduce yourself, and the topic, yourself and your cultural identity. And now let's take a look further at some of the requirements from the rubric. When you are thinking about this speech, and staging it and thinking about how you're going to craft the message, it's important to understand who you're talking to and the situation that you're in. The situation, imagine that you've joined a new class. Well, coincidentally, you have joined a new class, so that shouldn't be hard to imagine. Or maybe it's a new organization, maybe you got a new job, or you're joining a club here on campus. And at an upcoming meeting, you've been asked by the group to formally introduce yourself, right? So you got to craft a formal, prepared speech for this group in order to introduce yourself and your cultural identity, as we mentioned. You're going to be in a medium-sized room, so you're going to adapt your delivery style to the idea that you're a medium-sized to large room where the audience of 20 or so diverse peers are spread out before you, let's say 45 degrees to your left in front of you and 45 degrees to your right, so that as you deliver, you're going to need to move your body, turn your body, move your eye contact to include the people 45 degrees to your left, the people in front of you, and the people to your right. Of course, remember, this is an imagined audience. I'm not actually asking you to gather 20 people. I am asking you to gather at least 2 people who are physically present. So in order to simulate this situation, it might be a good idea to have one person sit 45 degrees to your left so that you can turn your body and engage that person. You have the camera right in front of you so you can look forward at the camera, and then your second person 45 degrees to the right. And if you got more people to join you, it would be even easier for you to simulate this situation. The audience, when you're thinking about crafting the speech, is a group of your imaginary peers. Remember, in the textbook, there is the term explicit audience. And an explicit audience means those are the people who you're crafting the message explicitly for, right? You are clearly talking to these people. So as you are crafting your speech, let's imagine that it's this group of 20 or so diverse peers. What do I mean by that? They're people who are about your age, and they come from perhaps very different backgrounds than you. Some of them perhaps come from similar, some come from different backgrounds than you. So you're going to have to adapt your message for a variety of different personalities and different mindsets and experiences. So that's the explicit audience, an imagined group of 20 peers. The implicit audience, as you'll read about in the textbook, the implicit or implied audience are those who you're talking about, right? It's your culture, essentially. And so other members of your culture or your social group or your team that you're talking about, they're implicated in your speech, and they care about what you're going to be saying about them. And so we call that an implicit audience. Now, the actual audience, right, is going to be those 2 people or more that you gather wherever you choose to make your recording. So I'm asking you to imagine a situation and imagine an audience, but of course you're going to actually stage the recording as well. So don't be confused by that. Time, we mentioned this before, 3 to 5 minutes. That's from the attention getter, the very first thing out of your mouth, to the closing line. There's going to be some time for setup where you will say your name in the class, and you'll show the note cards to the camera very carefully, and you will show the audience members to the camera. Then you'll gather yourself, you'll begin your speech. That's when I'm going to start timing, and I'll time all the way until you get to your closing line. You should aim for the speech to be between 3 to 5 minutes. I'd be trying to get my speech to clock in at about 4 minutes every time so that I have a minute leeway on each side. In the rubric, it will tell you, and I'll show you in the third video, that I will not accept a video for speech number 1 that is under 2 minutes long. So you need to speak at least 2 minutes and 1 second, but you should aim for 3 to 5 minutes of time. The organization of the speech is just the basic organization that you see here. There needs to be an introduction, there needs to be a body of the speech, and there needs to be a conclusion to the speech. So that's the basic organizational strategy that I'll be looking for you to have. In the introduction, you will need to have 2 parts this time, and when we get to speeches 2 and 3, this will increase to 5 parts. But for the first speech here, I want you to have an attention getter. There's going to be an upcoming video that will talk about different strategies for gaining attention, something fun, something creative. And you need to have your thesis statement, your main idea. There's going to be a assignment coming up that's going to ask you to submit a draft of your thesis to me. It's a single sentence stating the idea of the speech. I belong to such and such culture, and it taught me this. So 1 sentence, that is the main idea of the speech. How you do the conclusion should be, again, with 2 parts. And when we get to speeches 2 and 3, this will expand to 3 parts. But I want your conclusions to kind of restate or reinforce the purpose, the thesis, the main idea of the speech, and then have something prepared and memorable and powerful to close the speech. So not a casual kind of unplanned ending, but a powerful, impactful, memorable ending. There'll be a video on conclusions that will be coming up in an upcoming module. When it comes to the body of the presentation, there's no formal organization of the body that's required, but it may be useful for you to begin thinking about main points. And typically for a speech, it's useful to have either 2, 3, or 4 main points of your speech. And you kind of organize your thoughts around each of those main points in the order that you prepare. So it may be helpful to look at the co-culture or culture that you belong to, narrow it down to a few key components, and then organize those components in a way that's logical to the audience. These selected components could be the main points then of your speech. You could focus on 3 key values of your culture, or 3 rules for working out in the gym that you follow, or that you found that people violate and that annoy you. Could be focused on artifacts, rituals, ceremonies, language, practices. Remember, you want to keep it personal, and you want to give your take on those things, but you can't tell us everything about your culture. So what's your way in? What will be the main ideas that you will focus on? And we'll have time to look at those when you do that thesis assignment that is coming up. So that's the organization of the speech. I'm just looking, as you'll see in the rubric, that you have an introduction with 2 things and a conclusion with 2 things. And then the body can pretty much be organized however you want, but I encourage you to use main points. Your choice, in other words, for the body. But I encourage you, because I'll require it when we get to speech 2 and 3. You can use note cards for this speech. They should be 2, no more than 2, 3-inch by 5-inch note cards. And you may be wondering, well, what's that look like? And I have that right here. It's not very big. And you could kind of see, it's going to be backwards on there, that, it has a few notes helping me. DIY punk scene, mosh pit story, freedom, individuality, and anti-consumerism. So that's my introduction, right? I'm going to start with a mosh pit story to gain your attention. I'm going to mention that I belong to the DIY punk scene since 2010, and that in this scene, I've discovered freedom. I've discovered my own individuality and celebrated other people's individuality, and I've taken a stance of anti-consumerism. I just made that up. I am hard to believe, but not that punk. So, do I have an appreciation for it? So clear, large handwriting, or you could, print up, cut it out, and affix it to those 3-inch by 5-inch cards. And it should be very brief keywords and phrases. No full sentences, please. So all keywords. This will help you with that extemporaneous delivery. Do not read from the cards. What do I mean read? I mean like your eyes are stuck on the cards and you're reading the speech out loud. As you saw in the speech recording rules, and hopefully you'll read again, that is a ticket to getting a low grade on the speech. I will take off a bunch of points if I feel like you are reading from a manuscript or reading from a text, right? So craft your cards in a way where you look down, you see a few words, you read those words obviously, okay? But then you look back up and then you speak to us from memory in that loose extemporaneous fashion that we talked about previously, and I'll talk about more in an upcoming video on delivery. Review the speech recording rules. Was just talking about those. Those are in the syllabus, and there is a page in Canvas that's going to be very helpful. This whole module here. Here are the recording rules. Here's a video that kind of demonstrates how to shoot the video. Here's the sample student video. So take a look at those and know exactly how you should stage it. But just for emphasis, remember that the camera should be placed in the audience, right from an audience point of view, in the center, facing right at you, and just remain stationary the entire time, right? So it shouldn't move. It should be stuck still. You could use a what do they call those? Tripod. Or, you can have a person who's holding it, but they need to hold it as stationary as possible. And you need to stand, and you need to stand back so that I can see your entire body. I would say 6 feet or more back from the camera. But I still need to be able to see and hear you clearly, so be sure to test your videos before you submit them, and make sure you're submitting a recording where I actually can see and actually can hear you. And again, see that sample video in the module I just showed you. The outline, there is an outline due. And I want you to see the sample student outline assignment instructions in the modules. And it'll give you instructions for this outline. It's a really basic, simple outline. I give you a sample student outline, and there's also the assignment page for the outline, which will show you how I grade it. I will show you that really quickly here. So in module number 5, there's the sample outline, which you can also find above. Here's the assignment, and the instructions are pretty simple. I haven't had time to teach you how to do outlining or show you how to do outlining, if you already know, and some of the formatting things. So I keep it really simple. It's a kind of an easy grade. Just make it look kind of like the sample student outline and follow these basic instructions, and you will be okay. All right, so I want to quickly in the next video go over some basics of the rubric so that you understand how to read that rubric. All righty.